So the new camera is fucking amazing. It's so amazing. The file sizes are massive, and this laptop can't handle the 4K size. It literally will not drag and drop into like iMovie. So I ordered a new computer a couple weeks ago. I think it will be here in like the first or second week of July. So probably about a month from now I'll be able to actually start using it. Which is kind of disheartening, but it literally will not fit. That's what she said. The first episode, and you can't see, there's a camera up here. I got a 4K camera. So this is, congratulations, sir. You are on the first 4K episode. I don't know how the fuck it's going to work, if it's even going to work. But, yeah, so.
I love it.
Yeah, man. So everybody listen, this is episode 481. And before we even get into it, so your mom was a dancer and a prostitute for Jack Ruby, who killed Lee Harvey Oswald, who killed President John F. Kennedy.
This is correct.
That might be the most insane intro to a podcast I've done to date.
Well, I mean, you had some fucking interesting guests, brother. I mean, I'm not going to bullshit you, right? So, I get up at 2:00 in the morning. I'm like, man, I got to see what Tommy's got going
Thanks,
today.
Man. That means a lot to you. Hey, for everybody listening, introduce yourself, man.
All right, man. My name's JR Kesel. I am the son of Custer Kesel and Virginia Kesel. My mother was a dancing girl and a lady of the evening for Jack Ruby. And, the father figure in my life happened to be an enforcer for Rosario Maceo, the godfather of the Gulf Coast Mafia. So, it was interesting life, before there was growing up Gotti, it was, growing up Kesel. And actually the name is Keselyevich, Serbian.
That's insane. And hey, for all, just to make this clear, to everyone listening, I wasn't saying that when I opened that. I wasn't saying that disparagingly. I think that's fucking awesome. I think that's fucking awesome. Your mom was the lady of the evening for Jack Ruby. That's insane. That's awesome.
Dude, I'm going to tell you what, and to be honest with you, Tommy, it's not like, this is outside of my wife and just the family. This is the first time I've ever discussed this with anyone. I mean, you were like, hey, man, you got the exclusive. But
thanks, man.
Seriously, I mean, it was, I mean, I've been following you for a while, and I was like, this cat right here has really got it going on. And I mean, I think it does something, I could add something to the mix. I
Absolutely.
mean, dude, we've got astronauts, we've got Delta Force operators, we've got.
Throw it in. Throw in JR Kesel.
Yeah, man. My father's actual name, Serbian name, was Konstantin Keselyevich.
That's so badass.
And they could not. My grandparents immigrated over here. Oh, hell, man. Right after 1900, my grandmother immigrated in through Galveston Island and my grandfather through Ellis Island. So is that, as time progresses, my grandfather ends up on Galveston Island, which was a huge hub for Serbian people. Yeah. I mean, it was a real big hub. And he was one of the guys that, ended up building the seawall there in Galveston after the 1900 storm. So he was part of that project and raising the island and everything. And then, come April 3rd of 1912, Konstantin Keselyevich was born to this world.
Your dad was born like 5 days. Let me look that up. I think you said it was 1912. What was the date?
April 3rd, 1912.
Hold on. Let's see. That was 11 days before the Titanic sank.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I mean, the crazy shit of this is my dad came into the world and seen so many technological advances, being born when he was, but the one thing he didn't see was cell phones and things of that nature. I mean, hell, home computers were just starting to be a thing. He passed in '97, so it was one of those situations where growing up in that household, it was very interesting, to say the least.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, and so for everybody listening, so I don't even remember what the episode was, but it was something brought up with JFK, and you left a comment about I don't even remember, but it was something about JFK, and we were just shooting the shit, and you were like, man, if I could tell you some stuff off, and I was like, well, hold the fuck, and I was like, because sometimes people will lead with that, but then they're just blue balling you, and you contact them, you're like, what'd you have to say? They're like, and they send you like a conspiracy link. You're like, why are you wasting my time? But some people some people have a story, and not more guests than not, but I would say we're probably at like 10 or 11 guests now of people who have been commenting on videos or something, and like you, I was just like, do you want to come on and tell the story? And they're like, fuck yeah, sure. So
yeah, man, fuck
yeah. So you told me that, and I was like, well, fuck yeah, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. And
absolutely,
that's insane, man. So you're kind of like a rated R, like Forrest Gump in a way, right? You're like in the right spots at the right time, like the family members. It's like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's I tell you, my mother ended up, she left Dallas and wound up down in New Orleans, so obviously Ruby was connected in the bent nose world, as they want to say it. So, she wound up down in New Orleans, and lo and behold, she ends up with one of Carlos Marcello's boys. And from everything that I've been able to gather over the years and family members, he was apparently a pretty brutal fucking dude, and he was beating the shit out of her on the regular. Jesus. Well, my mother being part German, part American Indian, the temper flares, and she lit his ass up and gave him from everything that she ended up telling me before she passed. She gave him a dose of 9 lead injections. Jesus. And he wound up dying in the hospital, and she went on the run.
Wait.
Now.
So your mom injected him with lead?
Yeah. That's 22 caliber lead.
I'm a moron. If you can't tell, I'm a moron. I'm like, where'd she get lead injections? You're like, it was a gun. It was a gun, you moron. It's dude, you can tell how stupid because Dale will be like, had to go consult with some enemies. I'm like, what'd you say? And he's like, I shot him in the face. And I'm like, oh.
Exactly. It was a short conversation.
So can you for me at least, I actually have never heard of that Carlo. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of his
Carlos Marcello.
Can you give us a little background on him?
He was the godfather of the New Orleans mafia. And I'm trying to think of the guy's name, the attorney that went after God damn it. His name was Clay. He went after the guy they claimed that shot the conspiracy to kill Kennedy, and it all revolved around a bunch of people from down in New Orleans and everything else. Yeah, and
isn't that what the movie JFK is about?
Exactly. Yeah, the one Oliver Stone did. So, my mother went on the run. She got on the lam, and so between the time she leaves New Orleans to the time she reaches her final destination, there not final, but where she wound up at was Galveston Island. Mm-hmm. Now let's kick back to my dad. My dad was an enforcer for the Macios, Rosario. They called him Papa Rose, and they said he was a brutal son of a bitch. So, my old man ended up going to work for him. Dad was a 9th grade dropout. You got a mom, a dad, and several brothers, sisters. Your dad is no longer able to work. And at the age of 13, he drops out of school. Well, yeah. Lo and behold, he went to work for a man named Nick Cantini, Cantini's grocery store. Okay. If you look it up on the web, Galveston Island, Cantini's grocery store, and there's pictures of it and everything down there. But anyway, the old man, one of his buddies tells him, hey, man, I got a job for you, if you want to do it, which my dad was tall for his age. And what it was driving a truck, hauling off gambling equipment and shit across the island, going to Lamarck, Texas. And they'd stay over there after the damn feds did their thing. And they'd wait for somebody to come and get him. So, that's how he got set up with Rosario. He was 13 years old when he started working for him. As time progressed, when we get off here, I'll shoot you some pictures.
Yeah.
No man ended up joining the Navy. He joined the Navy, but, you go from working for the mafia to being one of the first motorcycle police officers on Galveston Island. And yeah, I know, man, it's wild. It's crazy. But he did that for a couple of years. And he said that the police officers that he was working with were just as dirty as the guys that he used to work with. And he left that shit and went back to work for Maceo.
Yeah.
And his thing was, like I said, Dad had no issue with killing somebody. That was no big deal for him. He was a highly intelligent guy for a ninth grade dropout. He spoke 5 languages fluently. I mean, he could sit back in a crowded room full of people and he always told me, he said, best way to learn is to keep your mouth shut and your ears open.
Okay.
He said, you'll find out more about what people are plotting and what they're going to do. And he did. And he was, like I said, he was good at what he done, but he got into the nightclub business and the prostitution business. That was his sideline.
Yeah.
And now to tell you that my dad met my mother in one of his nightclubs, or my mother ended up working for my dad in one of his nightclubs, that was one I never could get out of my mom. Dad never spoke about the life very much. It was very, very minimal, to say the least.
Okay. So yeah, okay. Man. I feel like this is like a Greek mythology thing. Like you're born of these two powers, like Jack Ruby mob, and it blends together and creates you.
Oh man!
But I feel like that. I mean, obviously, I'm speaking as a 30-year-old born in 1990 who's known nothing but opportunity and private school, and so everything I'm talking about is roughly out of my ass. But I mean, I feel like that wasn't that uncommon for that era where it was like, yeah, you drop out because it's like you're in middle school or high school, you're not making any money, and it was very black and white where it's just like drop out, go get a job at a railroad. Go, and a lot of these guys, their parents were World War II vets, and it was just like, this is life of hard knocks. It was like, fuck off, work. You're not making money. You're eating, but you're not providing food. Like, you're a waste right now. It's and
exactly.
And I feel like that's, again, I can sit here and very idyllically and romantically be like, I would never pull the trigger, but I don't fucking know that. If I was born in 1912 and lived through World War I and the Great Depression and X, Y, and Z happens and you get a job and you go work as a cop and then they're as crooked as the other guys, but at least the other guys have like some sort of honor and they're paying you more and you're just like, fuck it, why? I could very well be that guy. And I feel like it's probably more common than we think. Like, I feel like that's probably you just fucking did what you had to do.
Well, and Tommy, that's the thing. You sit here now at this day and time, and you see, you see the mob, you see this one going to jail, that one going to jail, this associate, that associate getting whacked. One thing Mo Man did instill in me, he said, believe it or not, he said there is an honor in the life that I led. He said, you didn't rat. He said that was first and foremost.
Yeah.
You always went and done the job that you were tasked with doing. And he never once, other than being a police officer or sitting in a squad car, he never once went to jail. He never once got arrested. And, for the audience out there, the best way not to get caught is do shit by yourself. Now, mind you, disclaimer here, I'm not giving anybody any ideas.
We're not inciting violence. We're not inciting violence, God damn it. No. I know you're watching YouTube. We are telling historical recollections of your background. We're not condoning anyone to do anything. I swear to God, if any of you go do something and get my podcast pulled, I will incite violence on you, God damn it. We're telling a story. Go on.
We'll post my address, and they can come to me.
They can come to you.
Yeah. Exactly. The old man sat right there and said, he goes, look, the only way you're going to get caught is if you go and run your mouth. Plain and simple. He said, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing unless the right hand reaches over and tells the left hand, grabs the left hand. So, that's, we'll get to my portion of the life later on, but the thing about it was he was a very honorable man. I mean, his word was his bond. The guy had all the riches a man could want or have, and he ends up giving it up for me. I mean, he got out of that life because I came into this world, and I mean, he didn't want me to have any part of it. That was his I guess that was his way of saying, son, it's time to settle down a little bit. Of course, he does his shit like 5 or 6 years after I'm born. It's not before I get here. But the thing about it is, with, like I said, we're going to kick it on back over now. I'll give you a little bit and piece here with my dad. My mom, she winds up in the old man's club. Again, like I said, can't tell you which one it was. It's neither here nor there. Sure. But Marcello, they find out where the old lady's at. Now, like with anything else, telephones were the communication of the day back then. My uncle was lieutenant detective. Now, I'm fixing to throw something out there, and my cousins may end up disowning me. Like I said, my uncle, he was a tough, brutal son of a bitch, man. He was that 1950s cop that would take his pistol out and just beat the living shit out of you. And hey, if you're a criminal, okay, you know what? You had it coming.
Yeah.
But Uncle Louie, they find out somehow or another, and they wind up, Uncle ends up meeting Marcello's boys there before they get onto the island, and turned around. Now, mind you, Maceo passed, I believe, in mid to late 50s, so it was before I was born, but the Fertittas ended up taking over that portion of the island. It was still running pretty hot and heavy, but around mid 50s, the U.S., the Marshals, the FBI, and everybody else, Justice Department, got involved. So they pretty much shut Galveston down, but you don't shut it completely down. And so, like I said, mom and dad, they ended up hooking up, and here I come around 1963. Hell, it wasn't around 1963; it was 63. And the whole thing is, man, my old man still ran the nightclubs. It was an interesting life, to say the least, Tommy. I mean, being a little kid, me and my wife just discovered a big crate of pictures. And we were going through these pictures. Hell, 2 weekends ago, we were in Biloxi, Mississippi, visiting a cousin of mine who served in the Army. He served in the 101st from 60 to 63. And we're going through these pictures, and shit, there's pictures of my old man with his Navy uniform on, pictures of him with his police uniform on. There he is with his pinstripe suit, his brand new car, and looking all pimping and shit. Then we find pictures of me standing on a pool table shooting pool, and I could have been no more, maybe 2, 3 years old, and there's a lot of photos of me there at the nightclubs. So it was, it just kind of verifies the things that was told, but you don't, when you're that little, you don't remember a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Now what are your earliest memories of it? Like, how, cause you said he got out and then he got out and then went back in, or what are your,
yeah. Okay. Well, That's I actually was talking with my cousin, like I said, 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about this. And his mother, my aunt Dolores, she passed away in a house fire. The family home caught fire, and she died from smoke inhalation there around, I want to say 66. It was the same year that my sister got killed in a car wreck. And where the old man had one of his clubs, then my aunt Dolores had a club down on the corner, and I can literally remember bolting out the door, running down the sidewalk, just hauling ass, man. I'm moving. I hear the old man, "Where you going? Where you going?" Dee Dee. I'm going down to see Aunt Dolores, and shit like that. And I can remember mom and dad, because my dad was well connected. Therefore, when Galveston was a huge port, ships coming and going. And I remember a lot of times these captains of these ships would come in, and they'd hit one of the old man's clubs. And hell, next thing you know, we're at the ship in the captain's dining area. And dude, it was just, it was wild.
So you grew up in a Goodfellas film.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump ahead a few years. Now, again, I'm probably gonna piss some family off, but my aunt, my dad's sister, last surviving sister, who passed away back in 10, Bernice and her husband Hobart, they were up on the Alaskan pipeline when that thing was going rocking hard and heavy. Now, coming from the family that I come from, you can only imagine where this is fixing to go. My uncle was running crooked ass gambling up there in Alaska, and my aunt was a madam of the house there on the pipeline. I remember when they came back, Uncle Hobart got a hold of the old man and needed some help lifting a safe out of the back of the station wagon. Needless to say, they got this big ass safe out of the back, and this bastard is packed full of money. Yeah. Just packed from top to bottom, front to back. You couldn't have squeezed a dime in it. The aunt, I'd always heard this story, and my cousin Billy verified the damn thing. I always heard the story that when they came back, my aunt was wearing the damn coat. Now, this big full-length mink. Now, there was nothing for her to go drop $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on a mink at any given minute. Dude, I mean, you come from nothing. You got more money than God. So we're sitting there, and while we're talking about this, I told Billy, I said, "Hey, man, look, I remember the damn old man going and helping Hobart with the safe." And I said, "But I always heard about Aunt Bernice with this full-length mink." And he said, "Yeah, now, mind you, my aunt was 4'11". He said, the mink for the fur weighed more than she did. He said, and when they got it in the house, she started cutting the liner out of it, and it was packed full of money."
Jesus Christ.
Man, and shit like that. I mean, we moved from Galveston Island when I was 13, moved out, and moved up to Northeast Texas. We'd go back, 3-4 times a year. Now, mind you, I'm 13, going on 14. It was nothing for me to sit at the bar of my aunt and uncle's club and drink beer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just...
It's what it was.
Yes, what it was. I mean, it's just the way it was. I mean, hell, one night a fight breaks out. They're in the club, and my aunt, shit, man, she was the toughest bouncer that I knew. Guy ends up pulling a gun. She went flying across that club, smacks the fuck out of this guy, takes the pistol away from him, and then run both their asses out of the club. So, I mean, it was just shit like that on the regular, that anything is possible at any given minute with my family.
Jesus Christ. And you said you've been watching my podcast for a while?
Yeah.
So as you know, I take a lot of piss breaks, which is what I'm going to do right now.
Do your thing, brother.
Yeah. Can you monologue for like 30 seconds? Tell them how you found the podcast.
Hey, man, so look here. My boy, I say my boy, good friend of mine, Dale Comstock, seen it on his Facebook page. You know, he was going to be on Tommy's. So I jumped over there and started looking. I was like, damn, you got Comstock, you got Joe Tedeye, and, you know, so I started going back and further and further. And hell, we got astronauts, we got everybody. So, you know, anybody that really wants to reach out there and get a feel for not your normal cookie cutter guest, this is the place to go. That's all I got to say. You can't find a better non-scripted interviewer than Tommy. He's by far, I'm going to say, probably one of the top 5 guys out there with podcasts, and you know, he's doing it on the up and up. I mean, he doesn't candy coat things, sugar coat. And that's what we need more of. We need more guys. And we're going to have to get Tommy. Let's start a GoFundMe for Tommy and get him some Depends or something. That way we're not having to worry about dealing with the damn piss break.
What are you saying?
I said, why don't we get a GoFundMe going for you, and we'll get you get Depends to
I've been very good about it lately. I've been very good about not drinking tons of, because it's not even that I have like a bad bladder. I just fucking drink like 12 of these before you. So I've been getting better.
God.
I've been doing. My mom said since I was 2 years old, I've always been drinking. I stay hydrated, and I won't apologize.
Well,
but
I do the same thing, you know. And my wife's like, Jesus Christ. She said, Do you even eat? She goes, you said, how do you put all that food in your stomach? And you're sitting there and you drink a half a gallon of tea or a half a gallon of water while you're eating. I'm like a camel, you know?
There's no greater experience as a conscious, sentient, organic being than ingesting water. Sex is great. Sleep is wonderful. Who doesn't like a hot shower? Drinking water, it's nirvana.
It's right there.
We're 70% fucking water. And I just, maybe doing a podcast isn't the best profession to choose as someone that drinks as much water. I've been getting better about it. I've been drinking less before podcasts, but ultimately, you know, I don't give a fuck. I piss and everyone else can go eat a dick. So it's what you were saying to me in a text earlier or yesterday was, so you now you're working in secure. Can you go back to, you said something about was it Pemex? PEMEX?
Pemex.
What is that?
Pemex. Okay, Pemex. Down in Mexico, you know, there's no Exxon, no Mobil, no anything. It's nationalized down there. So Pemex is the only gas supplier, only oil supplier. I mean, that's it. That is the shit right there. So if you're getting anything from anybody down in Mexico other than that, you're probably going to wind up in a vat full of acid. Yeah. But let's see, this is 2021. Back in 2017, got a call, which now, mind you, I started doing bodyguard work, security work around 2001, man. That's, you know, that's a whole big thing right there for me. That's about 17, you get the phone call that, hey man, look, you interested in, you know, going on a contract? I'm like, fuck yeah, man. You know, hell yeah, I'm interested in going on one. I've never, that's what, you know, everybody trains for shit. You know, Ronnie Coleman trained to be Mr. Olympia. Yeah. He reached that number.
Lightweight.
You know,
lightweight.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, but
ain't nobody want to lift these heavy ass weights. Lightweight. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. But yeah, I was gonna say to interrupt, because I mean you're a built fucking dude. How old are you?
Shit, man, I'll be 58 this October.
And you're built like a fucking tank. So
well, you know, I'm
training for something along the lines.
Well, that's one of the things. I guess I've been fortunate enough. Believe it or not only was my mom I hate to say this, but a big hoe, but you know, she was a worker. She happened to be. Hey, guess what? If I was a hot girl, I wouldn't be doing a fucking podcast. Hey man, if she was a hot girl,
I'd be a Wall Street girl of the evening. You bet your ass I would.
Hey, you know what? What's shit? Two of the greatest commodities in the world are time and
money.
you know, and pussy. So
yeah, who gives a fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Get that bread. Who gives a shit?
You know what? You can't buy more time, but you can always buy more pussy.
So provide the good, provide the supply for the demand, and get your money. So don't say your mom's a hoe. Your mom's a businesswoman.
Well, you know, there you go. So no, dude, I got into powerlifting shit back. We'll get over to the PMAX thing, but no, I got into powerlifting about 1991. I mentioned some other things to you in the text messages, you know, giving you a little bit about my history. And I was in the gun business from 1989 to 2001. I always carried a 1911. Now, as you know, Dale Comstock's probably going to hear this, and he's going to break my balls for what I'm about to say. But, you know, 3 famous words that every fucking guy has and gets him into more trouble is, I got this. So I'm carrying this fucking 1911 loaded half cocked. Now, 1911, you carry it cocked and locked, or you don't have one in the chamber, which is nothing more than a goddamn 3-pound frisbee as far as I'm concerned at that point. My pistol's laying in the seat, loaded half cocked. That son of a hammer dropped. 45 goes through my thigh, out by my kneecap.
Jesus.
6 months later, dude, I'm back in the gym, and I've made it my goal that I would never ever be physically at the point of I'm not going to be a weak person. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Incapacitated. Yeah. So, needless to say, man, like I said, I got into powerlifting, and you know, I've done it off and on. The only person I compete against is myself. I set goals. I hit the goal, I exceed it. Then I set another one. It's just, you know, it's the way most guys are. Look at yourself. You set a goal for yourself with your podcast. And I mean, look at where you're at right now. You're kicking ass, dude. I mean, there's no other way of putting it.
Thank you.
I mean, nobody out there has fucking guessed that you've got. And man, seriously, I mean,
thank you.
Dude, you do seriously. I mean, you know, you don't have all these sponsors and this goddamn these parameters that you got to stay within because I'm going to lose, you know, Aunt Jemima, or I'm going to lose Uncle Ben's, or Disney. Yeah, well, fuck Disney. Yeah. But you know, that's a whole other thing. You know, Iger, kiss my ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's get on over to PMAX.
Yeah.
So we get there, and when we do, start training, and for a solid year. Now, a friend of mine, I'm gonna throw his name on out there because I'm gonna tell him about your podcast. I'm gonna get you some more followers, bro.
Thanks, man.
And Ken Brown, this guy here is Marine veteran, kind of one of them guys that same thing, set his mind to shit, and you know, went through Whip's program in his early to mid 40s. He was with, God damn it, hell, he's done security work for Biden, Hillary Clinton, Pelosi, all of them. But he worked State Department. But I'm trying to think what the fuck.
Is it DSS?
Something like that.
I had on a guy. Well, fuck. Now I can't remember his name. But but you know, he worked in the State Department, and it was something called. It's not the Secret Service, but it's like it's basically the Secret Service kind of.
Yeah, these guys have serious. Okay, now I remember who he was working for. He was working for Ambassador Stevens.
Okay.
When Chris was over in Jerusalem.
Okay.
So his call sign is Tex. So Tex goes back and forth. They're going from Jerusalem, Gaza Strip. They're going back and forth, back and forth. But anyway, he contacts me, and you know, I've trained with him pretty damn good bit. And he said, you know, hey, look, got something for you. And we got another friend that they contacted. He goes by call sign Tweaker. And so you got to mind, Tweaker's about 6'2", about 330. Now, it's a big boy. This son of a bitch is faster on his feet than most guys that are 6'2", 175. I mean, he's fucking just light on his feet for such a big guy. But anyway, we trained for a solid year. I mean, every Saturday, Sunday, we're putting at least between 9mm and 5.56, we're probably putting 3,000 to 4,000 rounds down range every Saturday and Sunday. That's each one of us. We had another Marine veteran, Brandon Nix. He went by Man Candy. That was his call sign, Man Candy. Pretty boy, man. You know, got the beautiful hair and the beard. You know, the contractor beard. I mean, you know, he's rocking that
Man
shit.
Candy.
So yeah, Man Candy. So you know, we all we worked our asses off, and Tier 1 Special Missions Group was the company that we were going to work for. Now, mind you, never could I imagine being on the level of a Dale Comstock or a Joe Tedeye. That's never going to happen. But
they're not,
you know, well, dude, they're gods among men. I mean, that's those guys are just the shit.
Fucking, dude, they're on a different. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, they're on a.
No.
I got to go shooting with them a couple months ago, and they're. It feels like you're playing a video game. You're like, no one's supposed to be able to like know this much shit and handle weapons this well and know every little thing. Pick up any weapon. Oh yeah, this is the way you got to do this. You want to do that. You tell them you want to do this, and it's just like, you know, what I think of is you pull and shoot. They're like, there's 27 basic steps, and I'm like, what? But sorry, go on. Yeah, no, they're predators.
No. That's all right. That's right. So you know, we're shit, man. Like I said, I was in the gun business for 12 years. And in that time, I acquired a lot of personal weapons. Hell, I've got an M16 that a U.S. Marshal was carrying the day that Vicky Weaver was killed. He was carrying it at Ruby Ridge. Jesus. So I've got that gun in my vault. But anyway, let's kick it over. Due to ITAR, which is the weapons, you can't carry weapons from one country to another country and all this bullshit. So all the damn hard work and training we done for that solid year, we're getting ready. We go down to Houston. We talk to the project manager, deputy project manager, who happened to be Ken Tex. And, man, we're good to go. You know, they're looking, it's like a $40 million a year deal. There's 1,200 of us going. And out of that 1,200, there was 2 civilians. It was me, myself, and Tweaker. So we're like, fuck yeah, you know, we've busted our asses. And then we get a call one weekend and said, hey, man, you know, we pulled the plug. PMEX wants to cut the security force in half. So just to give you an example, we had 7,000 square miles we were going to cover. You had Delta veterans, you had SEAL veterans, you had PJs, recon. I mean, anybody who was anybody in special forces that had gotten out, they were going to be coming into this shit. And what it boiled down to was on the rigs, there was going to be 2 U.S. advisors and 10 Filipino Marines guarding this. Well, PMEX wanted to kick it back to 1 U.S. advisor and 10 Mexican nationals all armed up with M16s. And I was like, fuck, man, you know, here we are busting our asses, and you mean to tell me that we're going to have the thieves policing the thieves? And Tex said, man, look, he said, I'm pulling the plug. And I would say probably 99.5% of those 1,200 that were going were all contacts of his through the years of him doing State Department shit. So it ended up pulling the plug. But in the meantime, you know, hell, man, you know, I had the good opportunity to do a lot of personal details and things. And I can't really complain about life, man. It's been good.
Yeah. And what are you doing now? You said you're doing security in Texas?
Currently right now I'm in the process of trying to get my security license. This is going to be a big surprise for people. Well, Texas is going to end up legalizing marijuana. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hey, look, dude, I'm cool with it. It's just like I've always said. And I've told people, until it's legal, it's illegal. If you're going to smoke this shit, do it at home. Don't be driving around with a quarter pound of damn weed in your damn console. Yeah. And when you get pulled over, you're pissed off at the world because you're going to jail.
Yeah.
So, Colorado, now here's the thing. Even though it's legal in the States, it's not legal federally. So the money that comes from the profit off of selling marijuana or having these dispensaries or what have you, you can't put it in a regular bank. Anything that's federally insured, if you put that money in there, they're going to come down on top of you like a ton of lead. Now you got the feds involved. So what we're looking at is trying to acquire a damn bank that was closed, find one that's been closed, and get it in armored SUVs, transporting marijuana, transporting money.
When you said when you said find one that's closed, no. I had a brain. Find what that's closed.
I'm sorry. A bank.
Find an old bank.
Yeah, a bank.
Okay.
Yes.
Big old vault.
You got your vault.
Yeah.
Yes. There you go.
Okay.
And there's shit. Colorado. That's where I first got the idea when Colorado started doing it. I'm thinking, okay, well, sometimes I have a tendency of procrastinating, and this is one of those instances. Now I'm like, shit, I ain't getting no damn younger. Money ain't gonna be coming at me like it used to. So it's time to make some moves, man. Try to get some shit going.
Now, fun note, I had on a guest who was an armored truck driver. I don't know if that would help. I could put you in touch with him. I don't know if that would help.
Hey, dude, look, you know what? If he's from here in Texas, absolutely.
I have no idea where he's from. I don't know if he would just be of any help. Well, I don't think he does it anymore. I think he retired from it. But
speaking of armored drivers, did you see the video of the dude that was hauling the damn iPhones?
I did. The South Africa.
Yes.
Yeah, I reached out to the company he works for, and I forget what his name is, but I reached out and I wanted to get him on the podcast, and I talked to like their secretary or something, and I was talking to them, and then they just kind of stopped responding, and I didn't. Which, I mean, 99% of guests do. No one sees behind all the scenes. A lot of guests do just end up ghosting me.
Right.
I later saw that that he was getting death threats. His family was getting death threats, so I think they put him into WITSEC. So I realized, like, oh, he probably doesn't want to do the podcast. But yeah, no, I did see the video.
Yeah, that was that dude. That dude had balls the size of church bells, man. This son of a bitch was getting after it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to throw something at you. Look here. We're getting back on. I'm going to go back to my old man for a second. So, me and my mom and dad are downtown Galveston. They had tore out a lot of the old district down there, and what is now American National Bank building was big, massive, empty field down through there. So me and the old man and the old lady, which that's what I've always referred to them as old man and old lady, and we're walking down through there, and I'm 6-ish, 7-ish, somewhere around there. We're walking down through there, and there was some I'm trying to see how to put this without sounding like a schmuck. There was 6 or 7 young black guys. Now, I know this is probably, oh God, here we go with the racist bullshit. But anyway, we're walking down through there. It's in 3-4 in the afternoon, and one of them yelled, "Hey, fuck you, old white motherfucker!" Dad looked at the old lady, and the old lady looked at him. He goes, "What did he just say?" And the old man hollers at him. And when he did, he yelled it back out of nowhere. He draws out a 38 Super. He carried a 1911 38 Super. He draws that sumbitch out downtown Galveston, and he starts lighting their ass up.
Wait, who pulled the gun?
My dad. The old man did. The old man pulls the gun out.
Started shooting at him?
Starts shooting at him. Oh, yeah, dude. I'm telling you.
Christ.
Hey, you look, the old man and old lady were at church one Sunday. Very seldom did my dad go to church.
Sure.
Not that he wasn't a religious person, but he'd go occasionally. I was an altar boy, believe it or not. I mean, that might be a hard.
So was I.
Hey, look at where we're at now.
Hey, man.
And so big church hall, people everywhere in it. they're having a church board meeting, and the old man's sitting there, and I could see he's sitting there just tapping his leg. Whenever he started that shit, he generally had something on his mind, you know. Well, Tony Chook was the president of the church board. Out of nowhere, the old man Tony said, has anybody got anything they want to say before we adjourn the meeting? The old man stands up. He said, yeah. He said, as a matter of fact, I do. He said, you and that fucking puppet old lady of yours, he said, have stole enough money from this church. He said, and that shit ends now. And about that time I looked, and the old man sitting there with this big ass K-bar knife in his hand. He said, me and you walking into the alley, Tony, and I'm coming back. Well, at this point, my mother, my aunt, three of my aunts, a couple of the uncles, they grabbed the old man. It was like grabbing a bull. And I was like, God damn, is my old man crazy or what? Which, again, at that age, I really had no idea what he did. Mm-hmm. So, it's shit like that. And then I was, oh God, buddy, I was about 13, 14 when we moved up here. Now, mind you, manners was everything for the old man. Mm-hmm. I mean, respect and manners. It didn't matter. Black, white, brown, man, woman, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
Yeah.
We're sitting at the dinner table. The old lady sat to the right of him. He sat at the head of the table. I sat to the left. You could offer me $1 million right now to tell you what I popped off at mom at the dinner table. All I remember is seeing this big ass giant hand coming through the air with this vapor trail behind it. And dude, I pushed away from the table and hit the ground on my back. I'm like, fuck, I dodged that bullet. Well, by the time I hit the ground, he had done stood up and he done kicked me in my ribs 3 times.
Jesus.
And he told me, he said, get your ass up, boy. And I'm laying there trying to get my breath, and I'm shaking my head no. He said, get your ass up. I shook my head no again. He said, I don't understand sign language. He said, get your ass up. I get up. He said, I'm going to tell you one time and one time only. If you ever mouth at your mama like you did just then, he said, I'm going to take you outside. I'm going to treat you like the grown man you think you are.
Oh, fuck.
Now, let's fast forward about 4 years. Senior in high school.
Your audio cut out.
There you go. I had a call coming in. Yeah. I weigh, hell, at this point, I'm weighing 140, hell, I got some hair on my chest, got a full beard, hell, I'm a grown-ass man. The old man, he was pretty sick. He didn't believe in doctors, so trying to get him to go to the doctor was impossible. But again, let's go back. I'm standing there in the house, and he's in his recliner. And Tommy, sometimes you let your mouth overload your ass, and this was one of those cases. I'm sitting there just busting them gums up and down, 90 miles an hour. He's sick. He ain't going to do shit. He gets up out of his easy chair. He doesn't say anything to me. He walks right by me just nonchalantly. He walks over to the kitchen, opens the drawer up, gets an ice pick out, and came straight at me. My mother grabs it, and she tells me, she said, you get the fuck out of this house and don't you come back till tomorrow. I was 17 years old when that shit happened. I was 35 years old when my old man passed. That incident was never mentioned. And you know something? That ice pick still sits in that drawer to this day. As a reminder, that respect is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I had 3 brothers, and I think it was probably same thing. Respect is everything. And yeah, I was a jackass teenager, but I can only imagine if I ever pushed my dad's buttons, I would have paid for it. I never did. I never found out. I never called his bluff, but I didn't need to, because same thing. It's I think it was implied that that we showed my mom with respect. We showed my mom respect, and we showed my dad respect. And
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
it's like we've never nuked North Korea, but it's been implied for the last 75 years if they pop off, we're gonna treat them like the first world country that they think they are, right? So
exactly, So let's not let's not cross the DMZ and see.
yeah, exactly. So whereas
what's going to happen.
So whereas you went across the DMZ and got your ass kicked, I saw the DMZ, and I never went across it. But I can only imagine there would have been repercussions. And hey, I've said on this podcast, and I will argue it, I have the greatest two parents in the world. Incredibly strict, incredibly tough on us, but I have the greatest two parents in the world. I would never, to this day, I would never challenge my dad. Motherfucker, rip my head off.
Dude, I'm going to tell you what. And this is coming from someone that lost his dad, back in 97. And that one right there, that's the one that punched me in the gut the hardest. Me and my mom, we parents, relationships and everything. My mother was a raging alcoholic.
Sure.
So growing up, that was one of the things. My dad left the life he was in and went into construction. So it was a hard thing, man. And the only days that I didn't get my ass beat black and blue was Saturday and Sunday, was because the old man was home. The rest of the time she was drunk. And and don't get me wrong, I love my mother. Sure. I love her to death. Sure. Same with my dad. Like I said, their backgrounds have no bearing on my love for them.
Sure.
But these kids this day and time, they don't fucking have a respect for their parents. It's a friendship relationship. And
yeah, that's one thing I always remember my mom saying when we were growing up, and I didn't understand it. And she would be, when I'd be like, how come I can't go over at that house for a sleepover or something? I'd be like 14. And she'd be like, because they're friends with their parents.
Right.
And I was like, I just took it as I was like, yeah, I love my parents. And it was like, they're friends with their parents, right? Me and Dale are friends.
Right.
Me and someone else on Delta or us or one of the people working for him, they're not his friends. They're under him.
Right.
My parents love it. Their love is infinite. When growing up, I would say now I'm friends with my parents more. I would say it's much more friendly now. Not to say it was ever unenjoyable, but yeah, it's a friendship buddy versus growing up. It was very, infinite love, but also like you were never an inch away from walking over the DMZ, right?
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? That's
So for everybody listening, we had a private conversation towards the end, and for my own privacy reasons as well as his, just personal kind of emotional shit, life shit. Gonna cut that out. No need for it to be, because it's not fair. He and I can talk about this shit. It's not fair to our family members, so that's not going to be up. But the first half of the conversation will be, and Mr. JR Kesel is going to come on here for a part 2, and we're going to go into the other insane stories he has. And fuck yeah, brother! Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey man, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely,
man. I'm glad that somebody got the actual exclusive on this shit, because never discussed it.
Fuck yeah. Well, hey, let's wrap this bitch up, and I'm